Welcome back everyone, it's Monday, but this isn't a Necromunda model. No, this is something for the old world. It's a lad on a horse, and frankly, I've got excited about this. I've got excited because he looks extremely fancy, like you wouldn't even believe. So, this is the Grand Master of the Knights Panther. The Empire is primarily safeguarded by standing armies composed of common soldiers recruited by the many city-states. Standing above these are the knightly orders, nobles who pledge themselves to a life of martial virtue that sets them apart from the rabble. Let's face it, there's a lot of rabble when it comes to the Empire. And Britonia as well, thinking about it. There are many famous orders, but perhaps none are as remarkable as the Knights Panther, a righteous order whose duty is to protect the Empire free from political bias. They are led by one of the greatest warriors ever to have walked the lands, Harald Gemunsen. And that's him on his horse. Look at that helmet. That is ridiculous. Let's have a closer look. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, look at that. Hang on. Wait, I thought... I'm going to show my ignorance here. Aren't panthers black, or is that just black panthers? Can you have panthers that aren't black? That looks more like a leopard. Or is it a cheetah? Or is it a jaguar? Is a jaguar kind of... I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm just going to shut up. Regardless of the technicalities and specifics of what big cat is what big cat, he's got a big cat as a cloak, which is already pretty cool. The helmet is mental. Absolutely mad. What? I mean, we've got a gargoyle head. A kind of pig-like gargoyle head with huge tusks, a big plume of feathers, a pair of horns, but it's also scaled, so it's actually more of a lizardy, gargoyle-y thing. What on earth is that helmet? You've got to love a good rearing pose for a guy on a horse. It's just, it's almost necessary. It's almost like if you've got a named character on a horse, the horse has to be rearing up. You can't have the horse just standing there looking fancy unless the horse is the one who's in charge. I'm looking at you, Lord Solar. But for a good in-action pose, I mean, look at that. Axe reached all the way back, going for a nice chop. Presumably the horse is about to stamp on someone's face. That seems reasonable to assume. The armour looks really cool on the guy. I mean, look, we've got the little sort of comet, the twin-tailed comet of Sigmar there on the legs. That's really nice. I like the gems holding the chain that then holds the cloak over the pauldron. That's a nice touch. He hasn't just got an axe, he's also got a sword as well, obviously. The horse is, of course, absolutely majestic. How could it be anything but? Especially when it's wearing armour that fancy. I mean, look how cool that is. I have to admit, I'm not always a fan of seeing, like, kind of blue edging to metallic colours like that, but I'm kind of letting it slide for this one. It's quite striking. It looks quite nice. The various carvings and, like, embossed areas, the embellishments on the armour look great as well. It just looks so, like, regal, so knightly, so noble, which obviously makes sense given the character. One of the youngest warriors inducted into the Order of the Knights Panther's inner circle, Gemunsen proved himself a formidable warrior and an eloquent leader. When Chapter Master Otto van Walden was slayed by a Gorgon in the Dracwald Forest, it was Gemunsen who rallied his brothers and slew the beast, elevating him to Chapter Master of the Knights Panther in Middenheim. And we've got some alternate angles. Look at that. Oh, love it. Love it. It's really cool. It's just a very fun model, to be honest. The head of the big cat isn't even that derpy. I think that looks alright. Sometimes they can feel a bit cartoony and a bit off, but no, I think that's a well sculpted one. Love being able to see all the chainmail on the horse's neck there. That looks really nice. The mane being tied back into this kind of long ponytail-like plume. Feels weird to say ponytail in the context of a horse's head, given that ponytail's, named after the tails of the ponies as opposed to the hair that's on the head of the pony. But you know what I mean. Even get a good look at the saddle there as well. You know what? This is quite nice. This is quite good. It feels like with the cloak they've tried to keep the pelt fairly smooth. They've tried not to make it too kind of ruffled. There is a little bit of sort of texture going on, but not a huge amount, mostly at the edges. Which I think that works pretty well. You can get a proper look at that chest armour as well. The big skull, the crown above it, the little laurel on either side. Oh, it looks good. Also, is the horse's tail coming out of a metal, like, sculpture of a wolf's mouth? Or a dog's mouth? Or, like, a gargoyle mouth? I think it is, isn't it? That's a fun little detail. They didn't have to do that, but it looks cool. It's really nice that they've included the old one here as well. So this is not a new character, it's a returning one, and he used to have an old model, and... good lord, that is quite the that is quite the shift, isn't it? That's quite the change. Aside from the obvious shift away from the really quite very nicely painted sword there to the axe, I mean, a lot of it is pretty similar. Ditching the shield for holding onto the reins, I actually think that looks nicer. I think it looks better. It allows for a much more dynamic pose for a start. I like that the helmet is not quite the same, but very, very similar, but it definitely, like the new one, definitely looks just that much more interesting and like dynamic, I guess. Looks like they've ditched the robes that the old one was wearing in favour of just having the armour fully exposed. I think actually the armour being fully exposed works really well. It kind of offsets against the cloak a lot better. Really though, when it comes to stuff like this, I mean, you're mostly just looking at improvements in like just what you can do sculpting wise these days. You can just see the massive difference between what was possible before and what's possible now, and it's like, I was going to say it's light years apart. It is literally just actual years apart. But I think it's fair to say that that is still recognisably the same character, and they haven't changed too much really. They've kept it pretty faithful, I think. Yeah, not bad. Not bad. Old Harald Gemunsen, he's looked good coming back in that form, hasn't he? So there you go, a new big boss noble knight for the old world. Let me know what you think of him in the comments down below. In the meantime, feel free to click all the things, Patreon, subscribe, members, all that stuff, the things that we've done. There's a few things coming this week that I'm really looking forward to making, and I'm really looking forward to showing you, especially going over the stuff we did with the charity streams. There's going to be a nice little showcase showing off the dumb Baneblade we built, so keep your eyes peeled for that. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you for the next one.